Alrighty then, what's up everybody, and welcome to another episode of Just a Dude podcast. Now, this podcast will have minimal to no video editing, so I do apologize for that. It is going to be very raw, but I do appreciate y'all being here and actually hanging out with me. Thank you so much. Now, there are a couple things that we will be talking about, and of course I do want to share some news, of personal news, of course. Working on my YouTube a lot lately. I've been adding in a lot of new content. I've been working on a short story series known as It Happened. It's not visual, it's all narrative based. It is on my YouTube and on my TikTok, which links will be down below in the description if you are interested in checking that out. um Now, of course, as well as that particular narrative project, I have also been working on a Let's Play of Scorn. And that game is quite interesting. If you haven't checked it out, it is available on Game Pass. It is a lot of fun, but keep in mind this game is one of those games that has zero narration, no dialogue. It is all action based, and it's a completely different type of survival game. In my opinion, Scorn is more of an expose of an art piece than it is a story based telling game. But there is a story, and it is intriguing. And I would definitely recommend, if you haven't checked out the game, maybe check out my Let's Play, and we'll explore that world together. Another thing that I've also been working on is, at the very least, considering starting to do some live streams on YouTube so that I can expand my horizon as a content creator. And this is definitely something that I recommend to anybody who's looking into getting into content creation. Because yes, there are a couple new exciting mediums within the social media world that allows us the ability to stream. But we can't be so ingrained on what's new and what's now that we don't take advantage of all the tools afforded to us. As content creators, anybody who's new to the game or getting into the game, I 100% recommend checking out Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, everything, all of them. Because your content isn't just based on a singular platform. Your content is the brand that is based around you as the creator. At least that's the way that I look at it. And hopefully that helps some of you when it comes to answering what you may do next, where you're going to stream on, and what you may consider doing. Now, a couple of other things that I do want to talk about. So there are some games that are going to be released within the next couple months in the new year that I am really interested in. And one of the first games that I'm really interested in is Digimon World Next Order, which is an RPG style game, which is kind of like Digimon Cyber Sleuth, but it is its own franchise. And I believe Digimon World Next Order is the sixth part of this particular franchise, of the Digimon World franchise. It is a lot of fun if you haven't checked it out, though it's been primarily exclusive on PlayStation from what I know of. It is going to be released next year on the Switch as well as on Steam, and I think it might be also released on Xbox. I'm not 100% sure about that, but it is a re-release of this particular game. Now, for those of you who are interested, I do want to watch a bit of the trailer with you. At the very least, the announcement trailer for this particular game. So let's check it out.
Wake up! It's time.
As it drags all Digimon down into chaos, it'll become the cornerstone of a new world.
This world is at a crisis point. It's because of the machine Draymon.
Oh well, I just have to show you all my discovery beyond altered form.
What is this? Light, a bond? The bond is transforming into power! We can still fight!
It'll erode this entire world away. Digimon World, Next Order.
Now, this is a game that I am so excited for because I haven't been able to play a Digimon World game since the PlayStation 2, when my friend who lived close to me allowed me to play the game. I had a lot of fun with it, and I really did enjoy it. And I'm so excited for them to release this game. Now, one thing to note, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Digimon lore when it comes down to it, one, Digimon actually, unlike Pokemon, which was created from the video game franchise, Digimon was originally created as an offshoot from the Tamagotchi franchise. Yeah. And it was created as, this is the terminology for back then. In the 90s period, their marketing ploy was to create a more boy-friendly toy, which is where Digimon originated from. And it has a very complex lore and world. And the interesting thing about it is every game, the Digimon World game, the Digimon Cyber Sleuth game, the Digimon Survive games, these are all actual alternate realities of the Digimon lore and exist independently from the Digimon canon that is based in the anime and the toy line that originated these offshoots. So there is a lot to go into in that, but we're not going to really go into that right now, because it's a lot. It's complicated, and Digimon is fantastic, and I might even do a podcast segment in my next episode about Digimon, just talking about the lore, just for fun, because I absolutely love Digimon. I do, and it is something that sadly has been associated with Pokemon in a lot of ways because of the time of its release and the similarity between the name. But in truth, if you actually do explore these two franchises, they are very unrelated in so many ways. The only true relation is the date that they were released, the fact that there's monsters in the world, and the fact that the end of the name of the franchise ends in Mon, Pokemon, Digimon. But both of those are actually shortened versions of the full name. Pokemon came from the name Pocket Monsters, and they were called Pocket Monsters because they had the ability to change their size. And this is what accentuated the Pokeball's ability to capture them. That was the original lore, and it was explored more upon in Pokemon Legend Arceus. Now, when it comes to Digimon, which is shortened for Digital Monsters, Digimon is actually a alternate reality set in our modern society type world, whereas Pokemon is a completely different world. There are a lot of differences. There's a lot of different, different origins and things like that. Like I said, the only true two things that you can associate between the two franchises that are similar is the fact that there are Pokemon and there are monsters in these worlds, and that the end of the franchise ends in Mon because it's a shortening of the full name of the franchise itself. But the way Digivolution works is completely different from the way Evolution works in Pokemon. Yeah, I'm kind of going on a rant here when it comes to that, because it is something that I'm kind of passionate about, and a lot of people make the same mistake. Either way. Now, another game that is going to be coming out that we will be talking about is Dead Space. Now, the Dead Space remake that is going to be coming out in the next year is something that a lot of people are excited for, because people love the Dead Space franchise. I personally am excited for this because I am excited for the Dead Space franchise, and I would love to see the way that this particular game looks when it has a updated graphics. I wonder what they're going to do, if they're going to change any of the mechanics in the game at all. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what they do. But I am thoroughly excited for this. But it is a remake, so there's not really much to be said about it, seeing as we've had this experience before. Now, another game that we'll be talking about is Callisto Protocol. Now, this is a game that I've been playing on stream recently, and I'm trying to finish. Now, the reason why we're going to be talking about this game is because, one, it is one of the newer releases that have been out, and two, it was also made by the same creators as Dead Space. Now, this game has had some critical... this game has received a lot of criticism upon release and upon playthrough because of the combat being, for lack of a better term for me, a little bit wonky. You know, the blocking system isn't exactly reliable. The dodging, though it doesn't actually tell you in the tutorial how the dodging works per se, it'll give you a quick overview until you actually watch a video to figure out how to do the dodging properly. It's not as intuitive as you would think until you figure it out. But that's just for me, of course. Another thing about Callisto Protocol that a lot of people have complaints about is that they find a lot of similarities between this particular game and Dead Space. And I think that that's something that is maybe a valid complaint, but something that a lot of people don't give enough thought into. Because the fact of the matter is, yes, the game is going to be like Dead Space because it was made by the same creators. And I would think that the way that they styled their games is a signature of their style as a producer of a game. I mean, think about StarCraft. That game is an RTS, and it, though has evolved in its style of RTS, it's still a top-down RTS. You could say the same thing about all of those games as it continues on, and as an excerpt of Warcraft. But I digress. Callisto Protocol has its own intriguing storyline. In my opinion only, of course, it is enjoyable. It is a lot of fun. And once you alleviate yourself from the criticism and the speculations that others have said and allow yourself to experience the game for yourself, I do believe that you will be able to form your own opinion about this particular game, because it is vastly different from Dead Space in many ways, in my opinion. Though the storytelling style and the visuals are very similar, I think that is more along the lines of a signature of the creators of the game rather than something that is too similar in a negative connotation. But that's me personally. So if you haven't checked out Callisto Protocol, I definitely would at the very least recommend watching gameplay videos for it and seeing people play through it, because I have enjoyed it. The storyline in itself is intriguing, and what is happening is quite intriguing. And yes, there's going to be similarities. You will see that. But me personally, I enjoy it. The voice acting and the actor capture, the motion capture that they did for this game is well done. I will say this though, if you do purchase this game, definitely get it for the next gen system, for an Xbox XS or your PC, because I purchased it for Xbox One, and there is a lot to be desired from the visuals because of the capabilities of the system that I have. That's not a fault of the developers of the game though. Now, the next game that I want to talk about, and yes, we are going to be talking about a few games here, because there's a lot when it comes to the game world that's coming up, is High on Life. Now, this game is one that I did a first look for, and I did post that first look on my YouTube for anybody who wants to check it out. And honestly, I am really enjoying this game. The Gatlians themselves are an interesting species that they've introduced, but the game is hilarious. Justin Roiland as a voice actor is immaculate in my opinion, and the way that this game is set up, the quirkiness of it is something that you would expect from Squanch Games and Justin Roiland. The FPS style mechanics of this game are quite enjoyable and honestly surprising to me, because I thought they would get quite lazy within that, but they didn't. And the FPS mechanics of this game are something that I would personally attribute to something like Doom Eternal, with how fun it is, the mobility of your character, the different guns that you have. Even though it is a limited selection, the fact that these guns, one, talk to you and add dynamicism to the environment, and, you know, humor, of course, adds so much to this game. And there's actually a story. And of course, you will see a lot, and I mean a lot, of what you would expect within a world created by Squanch Games. And I think that is not a negative, but more of a positive thing to be said about this game. And it is also available on Game Pass. So if you haven't checked it out, I definitely recommend it because you do have the chance to play it. Now, let us talk about the Game of the Year announcement that happened, where God of War did win a decent amount of awards, and I am thoroughly happy for that. But some people are disappointed that it did not win Game of the Year, that Elden Ring is in fact the game that won Game of the Year. Now let's watch that particular announcement about the Game of the Year, and then we'll talk more about it. All right?
All right. Game of the Year winner is Elden Ring.
びっくりしました。ありがとうございます。
Thank you so much.
フロムソフトウェアのみんな、そしてパートナーであるマンダイナムコの皆さん、たくさんある協力会社の皆さん、そして素晴らしい神話を執筆してくれたジョージ・アーロン・マーティン氏、そんな素晴らしいですね。僕の尊敬するエルデンリングチームのみんなに改めて大きな感謝を伝えるとともに、この喜びを分かち合いたいと思います。
I would like to share this great appreciation with our entire Elden Ring team members, everybody at From Software, our partner Bandai Namco, all collaborators, and last but least, Mr. George R. R. Martin, who created the great mythos for this game.
All right, first off, let's just honestly say congratulations to the fact that this particular creator was able to win Game of the Year. And honestly, I personally think it is well deserved because Elden Ring in itself was an enigmatic living story that you played, and the lore behind each one of the demigods that you fought against, each one of the children of the Golden Order, and learning about the vast, deep history of this world within Elden Ring. And as you explore it, you build your own legacy as a character, becoming the Elden Lord in one way or another. Honestly, this game does deserve Game of the Year because of its extensive and deep storytelling lore and how interactive and amazing the gameplay in itself was. The music, the environment, everything played so well together. Now, when it comes to a game like God of War, God of War was absolutely amazing. It was a franchise that grew with us, all of us who played these games and watched Kratos change from the wrathful person that he was into the mournful, regretful, yet wise hero that he turned into, as well as a father figure. And I think that it was because of that we, as an audience, believed that God of War Ragnarok truly deserved so much recognition, because this character grew so much, and his son grew so much within a span of 2 games. But we also have to think and keep in mind that the Game of the Year award takes into retrospect of the game upon release, probably not the entirety of the franchise as a whole. So if you were to think about Elden Ring being the first of its franchise, separate from It's not technically a Dark Souls game. It's not technically a Bloodborne game. Elden Ring is its own secular title and is its own beginning to its franchise. And for it to have as much impact as it did and still does says a lot for that game. Now, God of War is a franchise that was able to build itself up over the years, garner a community that loved it for so long. And that played a lot into its popularity, played a lot into its ability to develop as a game. And Kratos as a character. And we saw so much of that development. And I think that was where our wishes for it to win Game of the Year came from. And it definitely does deserve a lot of its awards. And it definitely did deserve a running chance at Game of the Year. But I can't be mad at Elden Ring for winning because of that. Because of how much it has achieved being its own singular title and the first of its franchise as a title. So there's that to be said. So that's my personal opinion when it comes to that particular winning an award. And I did stop the video a little bit early and didn't let it finish through because I didn't want, you saw in the background, I didn't want to just give light to the person that came into the whole thing. Miyazaki here and his development team from FromSoft and George R.R. Martin are the people that truly deserved the recognition because they're the ones that did the hard work. And of course, the development team of FromSoft, they're the ones that deserve the recognition, not some random child who is going to randomly show up and say some things. So there's that. Would you stop scratching your butt on the wood? Go. I love you, but sorry, my dog was scratching her butt on the wood. Now go lay down. No, I don't need you to scratch yourself raw. All right, so that is pretty much the majority of what I wanted to talk about in this podcast. There is another thing that I wanted to end this particular segment with, and it's something quite important because it's something that came up quite recently with a particular content creator that is a partner content creator with Twitch, I believe. I'm not going to say their name. You can probably look up the situation and find out exactly who I'm talking about, depending on exactly, based on the specifications of what I'm saying. But this particular content creator essentially berated a viewer that showed up, that hadn't been there for some time, and was essentially talking about, what they told this particular content creator, what they were going through, and they were quite crass and rude to that particular viewer. And this brings up something that I particularly find very important and a very good lesson for content creators as a whole to learn when it comes down to it. Because it is very easy for us as content creators to be dehumanized by our viewers, by the trolls that are out there in the world that are trying to spread the visceral thoughts that they have because they want to tear others down because they're miserable. Or they're just too young to understand what compassion is, and they're too ingrained in the apathy of growing up that they haven't understood exactly what they're truly saying. But either way, the same could be said for vice versa as well. We as content creators, I have seen, in my opinion, many content creators, I will not name any names, but I have seen many content creators actually dehumanize their viewers as nothing more than numbers, and without realizing that they're human beings with their own lives, that they have their own struggles, their own things that they have to do in life, that they can't always be there to support. And the fact of the matter is that support, even if it's just for a moment, even if it's just for a single view, that bit of support in itself is a gift. It's a gift of time that viewers give to us as content creators, and we cannot forget that. Because I'm sorry, this might be a personal opinion, and there may be not a lot of content creators that agree with me on this, but there is no content creator out there in the world, there is no actor out there in the world that has ever got to the position that they are, to the fame that they have achieved, without the support of others and those that actually enjoy them. They may have put in the hard work to be noticed, but it's those that notice us that help us elevate and continue forward. And we, as content creators, cannot forget that. And we have to be thankful for the gifts that we receive, for the moments that they are there, for the time that they give to us as a gift in the little time that they have on this world to do what they need to do, because they are people too, just as much as we are people. And it's sad to see a content creator be so visceral to a point where they, one, were called out, and two, put in such a lackluster, apathetic response as an apology that wasn't truly an apology, that they are so lost in their own thoughts and how they think the world should be, that they forget that their viewers are human as well. And I hope that you, as content creators that are or you as those who are thinking about getting into the game of content creation, never forget that the only reason that you get anywhere is because you have viewers and because you have supporters, because you have people who have chosen to give their time to watch you, just as you have chosen to give your time to entertain them. But it's not just a quid pro quo. It's not something transactional. It's more than that. Never forget that. All right, my friends? I hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my podcast. Y'all have a great one, and I will see everybody next time. All right? Bye-bye.